What if everything you thought you knew about LGBTQ identities was incomplete? What if I told you that same-sex love, transgender identities, and gender fluidity are not modern Western inventions, but ancient, global, and deeply human? From the philosophical debates of ancient Greece to pre-colonial societies, from courtroom battles to modern activism, the history of LGBTQ people is a story of freedom, love, and identity that challenges assumptions and reshapes our understanding of human nature. Today, we embark on a journey through history, philosophy, law, culture, and science to uncover these untold truths and understand why they matter in the modern world. This conversation is more than just about sexuality. It is a conversation about freedom, dignity, and human rights. Philosophers like John Stuart Mill argued that liberty is the highest human good, limited only when harm is inflicted upon others, making LGBTQ identities fully encompassed within moral freedom. Mill emphasized that society should not interfere in private choices that cause no harm, a principle that resonates strongly with debates on LGBTQ rights today. Michel Foucault analyzed how societies exercise power through control over bodies, identities, and desires, showing that norms and stigmas are socially constructed rather than innate, shaped by institutions, knowledge systems, and historical contingencies. Globally, the situation is complex. While 2/3 of countries have decriminalized same-sex conduct, 65 nations still criminalize it, some with severe penalties, including imprisonment or even death. In 2025, Thailand and Liechtenstein legalized same-sex marriage, whereas Pakistan navigates a challenging mix of colonial-era laws and Islamic jurisprudence, illustrating how historical legacies continue to affect human rights. Understanding these dynamics is critical for informed discourse on human rights, equality, and public policy. Looking back, history shows us that LGBTQ identities are far from new. In ancient Greece, Plato's Symposium explores the nature of love, including same-sex relationships, with Aristophanes famously proposing that humans were once whole beings, split in two, some of whom were inherently attracted to the same sex. Philosophers debated the ethics of desire, and same-sex bonds were discussed openly, albeit within socially specific contexts like pederasty. Similarly, Alexander the Great and Hephaestion shared a profound bond, publicly mourned and commemorated, illustrating that Macedonian culture valued deep male-male intimacy, both emotional and potentially sexual. In Rome, Julius Caesar was accused of passive sexual relations with King Nicomedes IV, a claim that threatened his political authority because sexuality, masculinity, and political legitimacy were inseparably linked. These examples demonstrate that concepts of sexuality and gender in history were far more fluid and context-dependent than modern, rigid categories suggest. Historical recognition of diverse gender and sexual identities was global. In Africa, pre-colonial societies such as the Buganda and Yoruba recognized male-male relationships and fluid gender roles, integrating them into social, spiritual, and political structures without stigma. In China, male-male romantic bonds were documented in poetry, literature, and court life, while in Japan, the tale of Genji contains homoerotic themes among the aristocracy, illustrating that literary and cultural production acknowledged same-sex love. Medieval Islamic courts celebrated homoerotic poetry, often reconciling desire with law and religion, reflecting a nuanced understanding of human sexuality. In the Americas, Native American Two-Spirit people held sacred ceremonial roles assigned by elders, contributing to spiritual and societal life. In Samoa, fa'afafine and fa'afatama fulfilled respected, fluid gender roles, caring for elders and performing essential societal functions. In South Asia, the Hijra community was recognized for centuries as a third gender with social and ceremonial significance, later formalized in legal frameworks. Hawaiian Mahu and Incan Kwariwarmi exemplified intermediacy between male and female, mediating social and cosmological roles through ritualized same-sex practices. Even in nature, our closest primate relatives, bonobos, engage in extensive same-sex bonding, using it to resolve conflicts and maintain social cohesion, indicating that diverse sexuality has deep evolutionary roots. Modern scientific inquiry reframed the understanding of sexuality. Havelock Ellis, in 1897, treated homosexuality as a neutral condition, while Alfred Kinsey's research in 1948 revealed the widespread prevalence of same-sex behavior. The Stonewall Uprising of 1969 marked a pivotal moment for modern activism, when patrons, particularly transgender women of color, such as Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, resisted a police raid and catalyzed the formation of the Gay Liberation Front and the first Pride marches. Subsequent movements such as STAR, supporting homeless transgender youth, and ICT Up, advocating during the AIDS crisis, shaped LGBTQ visibility and rights. Globally, milestones include the Netherlands legalizing same-sex marriage in 2001, India recognizing the third gender in 2014, and decriminalizing homosexuality in 2018, and Thailand legalizing marriage equality in 2025. These events underscore how scientific, social, and political forces converged to advance rights, visibility, and recognition. Socially and culturally, gender roles are highly variable and culturally constructed. In Japan, social expectations emphasize male ambition and female domesticity, while Sweden emphasizes cooperation and equality. Among Somali Bantu refugees in Maine, fathers exercise distinct social authority, while mothers control daughters' sexuality, illustrating how cultural norms shape behavior and identity. Misconceptions abound. LGBTQ identities are often labeled as Western imports. Homosexuality is erroneously deemed unnatural, and transgender recognition is assumed to require surgery. Media frequently oversimplifies or sexualizes LGBTQ people, erasing intersectional differences of class, race, and culture. True understanding requires context, nuance, and recognition of human dignity. Legally and politically, nations approach LGBTQ rights in three ways: explicit constitutional protection, decriminalization without protections, and active criminalization, with 65 countries penalizing same-sex conduct, some imposing death sentences. Pakistan, for instance, enforces Section 377, and while the 2018 Transgender Rights Act was a milestone, the 2023 federal Shariat court ruling limited its scope. India, in contrast, used Articles 14, 15, 16, and 21 of its constitution to secure third gender recognition and decriminalize homosexuality. Thailand's legalization of same-sex marriage in 2025 signals a regional shift, while the Netherlands and Scandinavian countries have integrated comprehensive legal and social equality. Globally, LGBTQ rights are sometimes weaponized politically. Western governments leverage them for soft power. Conservative regimes use opposition to mobilize religious and nationalist voters, and electoral campaigns often exploit the issue for political advantage. UN frameworks, international treaties, and human rights bodies increasingly advocate for decriminalization and protections, adding another layer of legal complexity and global influence. Religiously and ethically, interpretations vary widely. Conservative Christianity cites Levitical and Pauline texts to condemn homosexuality, whereas progressive Christian denominations argue that contextual reading prioritizes love, consent, and justice. Traditional Islamic jurisprudence prescribes punishments for same-sex acts, but contemporary scholars advocate contextual ethics and harm reduction. Orthodox Judaism maintains restrictions, while Reform and Reconstructionist movements affirm LGBTQ identities. Hinduism has long recognized fluid gender roles and third-gender communities, exemplified by the Hijra tradition and philosophical frameworks of reincarnation. Ethical dilemmas persist, balancing LGBTQ rights with claims of religious conscience, evaluating harm versus liberty, and deciding whether authority or personal interpretation defines moral guidance. Progressive religious leaders argue that denying dignity to LGBTQ individuals violates fundamental principles of love, justice, and mercy. Economically, LGBTQ individuals face systemic barriers. LGBTQ adults are approximately 7% less likely to be employed and earn 7% less when employed, with compounded disadvantages for transgender people and people of color. Criminalization reduces productivity, increases welfare dependence, and harms public health outcomes. Rainbow capitalism or pink capitalism critiques highlight corporate co-optation of LGBTQ movements for profit, often while maintaining discriminatory practices internally. Strong labor protections and union representation correlate with better economic outcomes for LGBTQ communities, illustrating the intersection of social policy, labor rights, and economic equity. Psychologically, opposition to LGBTQ rights is influenced by tribalism, fear of societal change, and strict enforcement of gender norms to maintain patriarchal hierarchies. Internalized transphobia and societal rejection contribute to mental health issues, including shame, anxiety, and self-harm. Cross-cultural research shows that homophobia is not universal, but arises from specific societal structures, primarily patriarchal and hierarchical systems, rather than innate biological factors. Education, exposure, and empathy have proven effective at reducing prejudice and fostering inclusive communities. Personal stories from activists, LGBTQ elders, and students illustrate the human consequences of social rejection, legal discrimination, and cultural stigma, emphasizing that policy and cultural change are inseparable from everyday human experiences. History, philosophy, science, and culture converge to reveal that LGBTQ identities are ancient, natural, and culturally embedded. Denying this truth is not only historically inaccurate, it perpetuates harm and marginalization. Recognizing and affirming diversity is a crucial step toward justice, equality, and human dignity. Next time someone claims that LGBTQ rights are modern or Western, remember that history, culture, and nature tell a richer story, one that belongs to all of humanity. Looking ahead, the struggle for LGBTQ equality continues to intersect with global politics, capitalism, and culture. Social progress, legal reform, and cultural recognition are achieved incrementally, often challenged by entrenched systems of power. Understanding the complexity and depth of human sexuality and gender is essential for creating societies that value freedom, dignity, and human potential. The story is far from over, but history shows that courage, empathy, and knowledge can pave the way toward a more inclusive world.